Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. And I had heard about this a little while ago. This is a survey of comic book creators, and they talked about how much money they're making and page rates and all that kind of stuff. Now, this is stuff in any other industry you'd find on Glassdoor.com, or I know there's several other websites like that where you can hear from people that are probably unhappy with where they worked. And I say probably unhappy because generally speaking, that's what these kinds of sites do. Usually, if you're really upset with the place that you work at and you quit your job or something, you have a bad experience, you're happy to go tell the world, tell the internet, and you're going to post that there. Having said that, you also uncover some really important information for people to know if they want to work for those publishers. So, this is basically the same thing that's been done, only it's more of a simplified version, and I wanted to go over page rates. And in fact, I think I will make a video just on pay rates, page rates for different artists and writers and things like that, because it's a valuable video to make, something worth talking about. And people ask all the time about how that works and how much should I expect to get paid, what's fair, all that kind of stuff. So what I wanted to focus this video on, though, first is some of the comments about these studios. Now, I've already told you, people respond to these things when they're upset. That's the way that things work. So take this with a big fat grain of salt. And if you work for one of these studios, don't come at me. And well, you can if you want, but don't be too upset. This information is out there. We're sharing it. I don't need emails set aside and angry faces because I'm making a video on it. It's public information, so we're going to talk about it. If you want to change your perception, that's on you. Like, change your perception, do something about it. Okay, so first I wanted to look at Boom Studios. Now, I've never read anything from Boom Studios. I've heard a few little stories from here and there from people that it was maybe not the best studio to be working for, but now here we actually have some information. Now, Boom Studios on this list here is actually doing a lot of work. They're actually hiring a lot of people. That's not a bad thing to be hiring a lot of people, but also a lot of those people responded to the survey that happened to work at Boom. So you get the idea there might be more people with negative things to say. Here on the list, which publishers did you work for in the year 2017? This is slightly old information. Keep that in mind as well. Most of the respondents said Boom, and then fewer down the list. But you do still have people representing a lot of these other publishers. Okay, so and then also the different kinds of work that they did. And how many respondents were for each. This is relatively a small number of people. I would be interested in seeing more respondents. Okay, so, and this is also important too, how many years you've worked in the comic book industry. Chances are people that are newer starting out are probably not going to be as happy with the way that things are going. And according to this pie chart, most of the people, almost 60% of the people, 58.5% of people were in their first year to fifth year of working in the industry. This is nothing weird, even with, elementary school teachers, at least here in the great state of Utah, elementary school teachers generally quit and leave to a different career before 5 years. So they're not actually working there for all that long. So why should the comic book industry be all that much different? Besides, a lot of people want to get in, and I realize it is hard to stay in. So that is just for some reference there. Okay, so Boom Studios, we have 142 people who responded to the survey. 20 simply wrote that Boom as a publisher, that they'd be wary of Boom because the page rates are too low. Well, what are low page rates? What exactly does that mean? I don't know, but that's something to note. And I will be looking at their page rates on another video specifically. But here we go. Here's some of the comments. Some of the rates I've heard of they're offering are absolutely preposterous, especially on graphic novel projects, and seem to take advantage of new creators. Well, I'm not sure that Boom is alone there, but again, what constitutes taking advantage of creators? I'd love to know more specifics. This would actually be pretty helpful. Boom, you got to do something about this. You got to change your perception or be nicer to creators if this is what's coming out. Okay, Boom takes months and multiple reminders to pay artists. This is a problem you don't really have with crowdfunding, by the way. I'll tell you, even for me, and I've got, one Downcast is in the works, and the artists are getting paid before they're doing work. So there's, we've taken the risk out of that. They're getting paid as they go. It's not after the fact. It's not months later. Generally speaking, that is how things are actually working in indie comics. And I mean indie comics when you're not connected to one of these publishers. So that is something to keep in mind. Working for a publisher is not going to solve your problems. In fact, it may create some new problems just like this. Okay, so here we go. Boom. Aside from what I've heard from other creators, they offered me a $30 a page for complete colorist work. Wow. That's on a licensed book and extremely tight turnaround. $30 a page. That is cheap. And I've been looking at, wow, that's really cheap for colors. Complex colors. Again, it matters what kinds of colors you're talking about. I still, I don't know, that's an extremely low page rate. I am shocked. I wish that I could only pay $30 a page for colors. But I wouldn't want to get the results from that. I want the colors to be good. So that is kind of shocking. Let's see. Boom, exploiting the gig economy to take advantage of newer artists. They don't pay well on time or sometimes at all. Now, I could see not paying well if you're upfront about it, but paying on time, that is a problem. I get it, though, like you're trying to sell the book and get the money and pay the talent after the fact. Problem is, you could probably do it before. I think it's a silly business model. Again, in crowdfunding, this is not a problem, at least not for artists, as long as you're working with someone that's reputable. You've got your books and numbers all squared away. Okay, I'm going to skip down to Dynamite. There weren't a lot of comments on Dynamite, but 3 people, in addition to the one below, had general issues that they wrote in with Dynamite. They did not elaborate. So they had some issues. It's hard to know what. And here's the only comment that was left from Dynamite Comics. They say Dynamite Comics has reneged or renegotiated on a writer agreement deal that I had with them and owe me upward of $10,000. That is outstanding. Wow. Yeah, I don't know how normal this is in publishing. Man, that is bad. I don't know all the I don't know. To me, if this is happening, you'd most likely see more instances than just one. I don't know the reason behind it. Obviously, we're going to take it with a grain of salt. But if that is true, that is pretty bad. Okay, DC Comics, 2 people in addition to the one below reported issues when it came to working with DC Comics. Here's the one comment from below. DC only do work for them under contract. It's all spec otherwise. Okay, well, I will take that under advisement. Not that I'm going to be offered a contract by DC no matter what. Dark Horse, 5 people in addition to the one comment below. Notice they say that there is actually no comment below, so we can't hear what they said. Here's another one, Black Mask. Maybe you're familiar with them. This is Kwanzaa's publisher. They said 3 people in addition to the one comment below had issues with Black Mask, and they said, I'd be worried about working with Black Mask again. There was no editorial oversight on the book, and for team conflict / scheduling reasons, there really should have been, and getting me paid took, they really should have been a publisher, I get it. And getting me paid took the book's writer personally hounding their contact at Black Mask after my emails went ignored for months, which was shockingly unprofessional. Again, you got to pay people. If you're offering them a job, you got to have money to pay them, unless you're working on, like, if the agreement is, hey, you're going to work on commission and you're going to get X% of your sales. That's a different matter. If you're offering a page rate, you got to pay the page rate. Man, this is bad business, and this is bad for comics all around. When stuff like this happens. So keeping this stuff quiet hasn't been helping anybody out. and I don't know, getting it out there, right? Just like reviews on Amazon. That's how you get treated better, not by forming some kind of a union. It's better just to shed light on it if there's legitimate concerns. Now, Action Lab Comics, I know that's another one. I've heard some things just behind the scenes. Again, if you work at Action Lab Comics, I'm sorry. I'm just, this is what is there, okay? So Kyle Putkerman worked for Action Lab, but is trying to find a new publisher. He's terribly unorganized, forgetful, and I'm sure he's aware of it, but not. I'm not sure if he's aware of it or not, but somewhat exploitive. Oh, I can't even read. Exploitive of young and new artists. Action Lab in general is a company I'd never work for again. Ooh, had enough after 3 years. That's pretty bad. Okay, so one last thing I wanted to cover right here. Have you ever faced any challenges in the comics industry because of your race, gender, or sexual orientation? Now, this kind of question comes up all the time. I see it, in businesses, in higher education. It is around for sure. The problem with it is that you're self-reporting and you don't know, or a lot of the time you don't really know. You could be pointing toward those things. This is just like saying, hey, I've been blacklisted because I'm a conservative, and everybody says, no, there are plenty of conservatives that work in comics. The truth is, you don't really know unless they explicitly say that, say that that's why you're being blacklisted or whatever. This is absolutely the same case. Okay, so here's some of these comments. This could be a whole other video. Here we go. The first one. I've been let go for trying to add more queer content to an established mainstream series. You don't see, you see what's happening? Trying to add more queer content to a mainstream series. Why? Just for the sake, again, this is ideology over story. I have no idea which publisher this is. Okay, they continue. It's hard to tell from freelance when all work is over email. When you're just working over email. But people have definitely been creeps to me at shows. Well, people have been creeps to me too, and I haven't been on the other side of the table. So also working in the comic industry is not the same thing as being around strangers in public. They don't owe you anything. They're just people, and there are creeps everywhere. So I don't think that is a good reflection of the comic book industry. So here we go. I, parentheses, a woman, went through one instance of being preyed upon by an older male friend in comics. Why is she your friend then? Unfriend. That's creepy, to be preyed upon. That experience made me much slower to trust industry men who offered praise or help. Other than that, no. Okay. Yeah, that's weird. Again, I don't know what the circumstances are, but yeah, don't be friends with people that prey upon you. That's weird. The book I was working on for Portage in Maine was shelved temporarily because it prominently featured women and wouldn't appeal to boys. The editor I was working on with worked to get in. Okay, so here's the thing. Worked to that reversed, I'm sure is what they mean. Well, I don't think that is sexist to say that you don't think a book will sell because it's not hitting your target demographic. Again, we don't know all the instances here, but having editorial oversight to try and aim it toward your audience where you think you're going to make money, that makes sense. And to live in a world where that's not happening, I think that's actually a bigger problem. Okay, not me personally, but I almost always get pushback or suggested collaborations and assistance on project proposals based on their identity rather than their proven talent and teamwork skills. Holy smokes. Yes. Here it is in plain black and white writing. If you're getting pushback on your collaborators because of their immutable characteristics, that is a problem. Now let's see what exactly they're talking about. No matter what it is. Okay, I'm straight, white male, and whenever I recommend a creator who is female or queer or POC, first off, I gotta pause right there. Pause. Using the term queer, is that offensive or not offensive? It just seems like it gets thrown around quite a bit, nonchalantly, and then sometimes people get in big trouble with it. Does not make a lot of sense. Anyway, we'll continue here. So whenever the straight white male recommends anybody that is female, queer, or person of color, the first question I always get asked is, are they difficult to work with? Yes, really. That's the question they get. And then when I suggest someone who is also straight white male, which happens less often, so they've admitted they suggest straight white males less often, less frequently, okay? I always get asked, do you know anyone else? That is astounding. Like, neither of these situations is good, but specifically asking for people that are not straight white males, do you know anybody else to work with? Putting together the right team that meets the publisher's approval can be a tiresome part of the process, but I think it's a necessary one. Oh boy. Yeah, so they kind of undermined their point there. They think it's necessary. Now, depending on talent, it should be by merit, right? All of this should be done by merit. That is apparently too much to ask. Now, this list just keeps going on and on and on. I don't want this video to be forever long. There's a lot of stuff here. But this is helpful. It's interesting. And again, you have to take it with a grain of salt. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed if you're not sure. And don't forget to check out Downcast. The link's in the description below. Thanks. Bye.